All right, let's start with, okay, so we're starting with, what is your current position and responsibilities? So Stelios, I'll start with you.
Okay. How much time we have? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Because, as you know, way better than anybody else here. Everybody thinks that being a global ambassador, it's only traveling, having fun, visit bars, and posting cool stuff. But actually, it has been crazy, especially since the COVID arrived. The whole profile of our job has completely changed.
Yeah.
And has been like so crazy. That's long hours behind the PC. But actually, so I changed a little bit the structure of my profile, and I became like from global brand ambassador to advocacy and activation manager for rest of the world markets except Americas.
Okay.
Because actually, too much, all these planning, design new activities, what can be done, what could markets do in order to activate in a new situation now. It's a long process, and it takes like presentations, internal things, and all this stuff.
So all you're doing now is planning. You're planning for the future right now. Like your responsibility right now is planning for what's going to happen when the world opens up.
Exactly. So yeah, and I guess what.
Yeah, exactly. And you also own a bar. So is the bar open right now? You're a co-owner in a bar, Bar Negro.
So actually, we never closed except the first lockdown we had here in Greece, which was very strict. Everybody at home. That lasted for a month. But then we decided to enter the e-commerce business with deliveries. So we were pretty much there every day trying to create a new need, and also because we have many people saying, "Oh, how can we get a margarita? I wish I had one." And we came up with a plan in order to make the business work.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there, because in America, there's no way you could be a brand ambassador and own a bar, be a co-owner of a bar. At least I don't think so, right? It's an illegal thing for us. So, I know you don't just pour Jose Cuervo at your bar, but is it a problem to be the brand ambassador and pour, I'm sure, lots of Jose Cuervo at your bar?
Look, it's not only the US, that's kind of, I don't know if it's legal or legal stuff or something, but to be honest with you, I think that this specific category, tequila and agave spirits, we need to figure out ways to grow the business. And this is how we saw Barro Negro as an initial investment, not as a Cuervo embassy or any of the brands that probably someone is representing. But actually, the whole idea was to create the demand and to show people, how beautiful the agave spirits are. So pretty much, it's something that companies could have done in the market, but instead of them, we did. Of course, there is the legal issues you might have with conflict of interest or things like that. But to be honest, I never thought about it. I never went that deep because I just want to raise the category. I just want to do my best and to change perception. Because Greece has been the number 4 country in the world in tequila consumption back in 2004. So it was US, of course, Mexico, then it was Spain, and then Greece. It was crazy. So people, they were like, no, the tequila. And from the other hand, as Stelios, as not only as a brand ambassador. You know, we have families, we have kids. Now, I wish I could invest into something else. You know, but I couldn't afford like to buy a house or to enter another business or something. So what I could do that makes more sense, and I understand because this is the nature, my nature is to open a bar.
Yeah,
So
no, it makes so much sense. So Anthony, I know your job is just as complex because you have a very interesting role. You're not really technically a brand ambassador. You're more like a market manager, trade marketing.
Yeah,
but tell me what you're.
So my title is Vice President of Trade Marketing at Q Mixers. But I think if you group in all the responsibilities, the major function of what I do is to make sure that when somebody encounters our product and tries it for the first time, it's the best experience they could possibly have, and it makes them seek to go and buy it again or order another one. And that's really what we do, right? There's a lot more of layers to that, but I think that's what it comes down to is through all channels. When you first encounter this brand or this product, make sure it's served in a way that makes you want to go seeking for it and looking for it. So
that is the most press ready answer I've ever heard in my life.
Well, Stelios was talking for so long, it took me.
I was like, wow, like it's very concise. What is your job? Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
What is your job? Like, you know, for Q, like right now, I know it's not your full, you're more of a consultant role in trade marketing, and is to get the perfect serve, but do you work, you know, with accounts? Do you like work with staff?
Yeah,
like, what do you do?
I work with different accounts and stuff, but it could be anything, right? So I could take a phone call from a clearinghouse in San Francisco saying that the barcode's not working for a discount label, all the way to doing a distributor meeting in Miami or onboarding new staff members for the company. So it's quite multifaceted, and I think obviously we have a structure to this, so I can get into a lot of that. You know, the more.
So it's mostly US stuff. Still.
Yeah, mostly US, and we're figuring out opening up Europe with Q as well, and it's a small company but growing very, very fast. So, you know, one of the things that I love is to learn as you go and figure things out and be thrown in at the deep end and be trusted to figure it out in the right way. So yeah,
that is very cool. So what did you guys do? All right, so before you got into the world of brands and brand ambassadorship, like Stelios, like what did you do before? Like, what was your job before you got into the world of bars? Or like, if you've been in bars for don't go back to your childhood, like in the last like 5 years, like, you know, when you start, have you always been in bars for the last like 10 years or did you have another job? Like Anthony used to work in Procter and Gamble.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Actually, I used to be a seaman. I mean, in cargo ships. I used to be a second mate.
Really?
Yeah. 300 meters long vessels, you know, carrying cargo from all around the world. But then I quit it because I say I need something more, you know, with more people around me, because there were only 20, 25 people on board for 6 months or something. But I said, okay, I'm done with this. So I entered the bars as a bartender, and it's easy. We moved into a distributor here representing Jose Cuervo, and this is how we made it to the global.
Oh, wow. How long ago is that? How long did you get into that role?
I'm working with Casa Cuervo from 2013, when actually Diageo and Jose got the divorce.
Split.
Yeah. Since
got divorced.
Yeah.
and then they got Bushmills, and now Irish whiskey is taking off. I think Diageo is probably kicking themselves for that deal.
I mean, it was, I guess it was a bit expensive for them to buy them. And actually, the family that owns Cuervo, they're quite very proud, I would say, for what they have. So they're not going to let it go like this, you know. But then they enter and they bought Bushmill. So now, you know, they're pretty well. And with Diageo, I don't know if they will be, if they're still friends.
Well,
You know?
they get 100% of Don Julio, so I guess it's a fair trade. But yeah, at the same time, that was an interesting deal. So Anthony, what did you do? I mean, I know I said you worked at Procter and Gamble, but you also did Flair. That's or you met my husband.
I was supposed to be a rugby player. I was supposed to be a professional rugby player, and
really,
yeah. You wouldn't think of it to look at me now, but my nose is broken.
The nose. I was gonna say you got the broken nose. So.
Yeah. But that was everything I was going to do. But I had a really badly timed injury, and I lost a scholarship to play for a university called Swansea in Wales. If you know about rugby, Wales and rugby go hand in hand. And at that time, I wasn't particularly academic, but I was like, oh shit, I have to, if I want to do this university thing, I actually have to get some grades. So I studied science, and went and did a chemistry degree, went on to do a master's of pharmacy, and got recruited out of university to go and work at Procter and Gamble. And white coat, basically just doing analytical chemistry on a high performance liquid chromatography machine, and surrounded by people that were essentially miserable. So I was like, I got to get out of here. So I threw it all away.
And chemistry labs, it's like, no, you guys, neither one of you guys strike me as your future careers.
No. It wasn't a good fit, but I was, I guess in hindsight, brave enough to make the decision, but at the time, stupid enough to make the decision. And it was quite weird. No one in my family had done any kind of higher education, so my mum didn't speak to me for like a month. She was furious. And bearing in mind, I was sleeping on a friend's floor in in Amsterdam, working in a bar in the red light district. So that was without, she thought I'd thrown it all away. But and then that's what got me into the bars. And because I was living in London, I was always kind of working in bars and stuff. And that's when I discovered Flair, and the rest is history, I guess.
Wow. Yeah. Stelios, he met Philip because they both worked at Bowls. Philip was created the Bowls Bartending Academy, and Anthony was working there doing education at the Bowls Bartending Academy, correct? And they both flared. If you can imagine Philip flaring.
Yeah, this is how I started as well. Because
you started flaring too?
Back in the days, my hobby when I was on cargo vessels, my hobby was flair bartending. And then, I started getting to competitions here in Greece, easy. And I bet Fodas, Anthony.
Of course,
The Roadhouse, So this is how we started and everything. And then I realized that there were some cool guys that they were doing cocktails more than the blue ones or the green ones, for the flair tending. But that was back in 2008. And then it was, cocktails that becoming hip or something. And this is how I said bye-bye to the previous job and say, I'd rather serve margaritas to people.
I think that's very, very cool. I am terrible at flair. Anthony taught a flair class once. And I don't know if you remember that. You came to New York. It was part of your Bowls thing, and you did like a flair class. And I had a black and blue on the top of my hand for like 2 weeks from trying to catch a stupid tin on top of my hand. I'm like, I'm not meant for this. It's just not my.
Well, at least you didn't give up.
Yeah, I kept trying, but my hands are too delicate, I guess. All right, so let's talk about this because you guys both, in your roles, whether it's working for the brand or just traveling, do require you to travel nationally as well as globally. And that means you're meeting a lot of people, right? So building your network, I always say to people, it's like you're as a brand ambassador in any career, your network is your net worth, right? So the more people you know, the easier your job becomes, the more value you become to not just your own brand, but to yourself and for future brands if you go to work for them, if you have a bigger network. But obviously maintaining those relationships is not always easy. Now, obviously we have social media, but I don't know if you have any rules of thumb that you do. Okay, so every time I meet this person, a new person, I always do these things to make sure that I don't forget who they are and remember them. So the next time I come to that country or into their bar, I have something, I can refer to something. Anthony, I don't know if you have anything that you do as a practice.
I mean, not as
or
a practice,
try to do.
More something ethical, right? So, be interesting and stay interested. So have something to say, and if somebody says something and they're obviously passionate about it, give a fuck and engage on it. And also always set intent for your interactions. If you know they're going to be brief, like lay it out why you're interacting with them, and be open and upfront very early, and build on that. Otherwise you have a lot of interactions with people and you find yourself, I hate that conversation you have with yourself after meeting someone's like, I wish I said that, or I wish that came across. So I just find like being blunt and being upfront and being straightforward. Maybe that's the English kind of Dutch combo in me. But I just find that for me that works. But it's also who I am as well. So I'm more authentic in that respect. So yeah.
And how do you stay in touch with people afterwards? Like, how do you remember? You meet thousands of people. So how do you like remember all the people you met?
It goes back to the first point, is being interested in what they have to say. And it doesn't necessarily have to be business stuff, right? So it could be like, we just had that question now about, what did you do in the past? I will always remember, Stelios as a sailor. And that's something that we could connect on, because it's interesting and it's not something that you would run into on a normal, in a normal conversation. You can anchor that person to that trait or that part of their history, or that part of their story. So, yeah, caring, listening, and just being aware of who someone is and their history and their past. I think, and not what they do. It's who they are, not what they do. I guess.
No, I think those are really great points. It really is just sitting there and getting to know people. That's why I love doing these things, because I get to know everybody a little bit better and I learn new stories. Like, I had no idea that you had your master's degree in science, and which is really fascinating. And that Stelios used to work on boats. So like, I'm learning new things. So Stelios, you meet lots of people, and I don't picture the Greeks being as blunt as people from Holland. Because the Dutch are very straightforward, and the Greeks are definitely not. So you might have a different philosophy. So what's your way of like building your network and staying in touch with people?
Look, based on the responsibilities as well, that we have when we, as a global ambassador, being in a different market every week. Of course, you meet, many hundreds of people at each time, because your visit must be super effective. Get to know as many possible. Try to increase, change perception for the brands, or increase volume, figure out specific strategy and local adaptation based on global strategy, etc.
Right.
But I always had a quote I was following. It was always stuck in my mind. I don't know who is it from, but I heard it from a song from Metallica back in the days. That it was like, it's not who you are, it's who you know. So I was always trying to figure out a way, based on the strategy, who I need to know. Okay, because I'm just a single person in a new country that I've never been there before. For example, let's say Korea or Japan or something. Of course, I have like 4 days in order to learn as many things as possible for the market and try to figure out a way to activate our brands. So it's, of course, the number one thing is communication, and just trying to figure out how to communicate locally. If to meet, not the greatest bartenders, but the ones that make more sense. You can have to establish a common place, and you have an understanding. Some markets, the marketing teams, for example, they're taking me like, oh, these are the tequila experts or the tequila guys here that you need to meet, interact with them, and basically we know them pretty much, right? So, because it's a tiny world.
All you tequila people stay the same. Let's stay together.
And this is what I love in the business, that the tequila guys, for some reason, they are very close to each other. It's not that much competition or something. So yeah, I think being honest and true to your values, and just try to understand, each market, and the people and how they work, they operate. Because yeah, it is our team might come up with a global idea or whatever, but it doesn't mean that it works. So you have to penetrate the market, understand people, understanding bartenders, how it works, and this is my approach. This is what I try to do every time, understanding from the marketing point of view, business and the trade reality, because the trade is very important to most of the markets in the world. And understanding the trade would definitely give you the results you're looking for.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, for me, I just know I have, I definitely believe in what you're saying, like, making sure you have a plan, connecting with the right people when you get in the marketplace, because you only have limited time, definitely making sure that you're having those intimate conversations, as Anthony was saying, about hearing their stories, so you have something to remember and connect on. I also know for me, like, I have a terrible memory. I mean, really terrible. It usually takes me 3 conversations with somebody or 3 meetings before, like, I really remember, like, what we were talking about in the interaction. And I'm getting better at that, because it is about having that mindful moment of sitting there and talking to that person. But I found for myself, like, I have to write notes. So, like, after I'm having the meeting, I will then put, like, the first time I met you, like, I'll put, like, Stelios, and I'll be like, what bar you worked at, that you have 2 kids, like, what your wife's name, like, what you did. Like, I will write, like, notes, like, down. And I do that with a lot of staff. Like, if I meet different bartenders, I'll be like, okay, now granted, if they move bars, I'm totally fucked. But if they're in that bar, I can be like, that guy, he's the one that looks like Luke Skywalker. Got it. Yeah, and I made a little note, like, he just went on vacation here. So I had, like, a talking point, because I won't always remember. Like, or else I've had, like, a longer term relationship with that person, and we're like more friends, like real friends, then no, it's like, it's a very brief interaction. So yeah, for me, I just learned that, and then I found it really, the other person feels really special. Then they're like, oh, she took the time, she remembers me, she knows my name, she remembers what we talked about last time, and they might not remember our conversation, but the fact that I'm bringing it up, and I'm not being inauthentic, I'm trying to be as authentic as possible, because I just know I have a shit memory, so I have to take a note on it to make sure I can trigger that memory in my brain and be like, I remember that conversation.
Elaine, I had an amazing, I found an amazing, not a hack, but it was something someone showed me once, is if you've got an iPhone or an Android smartphone, you can set a reminder based on geography, so that if you're in a bar, you can, like, set it so, all you do is set reminder at this location and write down all the bar people's names and what they do. So every time you walk close to it within a certain proximity, it will pop up and give you the names.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I'm going to try that. That's really good.
Can get annoying not going to the bar, or you need to get home and just pop in. But
We're going to figure this out later on.
You can set it by location, not time. Yeah, it's a good one.
Stelios, trust me, later on we get off, I'm going to figure that out, because I'm going to learn how to do it. I mean, another trick that somebody told me was Xavier Harit, who is the national brand ambassador for Grand Marnier. He says, he uses Google Maps. So basically in Google Maps, and I went back and did it, so you can create your own maps. So within an area, right? So he's going to, say, Chicago. And every time he goes into a bar, he'd be like, create a new map, and it'd be like Chicago map. And then when you go to a location, you press on the location, and then notes pop up. So then you can write all the notes of, like, all the people you met and all the people you talked to. So that way, when he gets back from his trip and he has to send a recap to his boss, he has it all there. But then also when somebody says, hey, I'm going to Chicago, where do you recommend? He can just be like, here's my map, and here's all the people. It's very, very handy. That one I definitely stole, but I'm definitely going to look up the, creating the location.
Set a reminder, set it by location, not by time or date.
In, like, Facebook, or just, like...
No, Apple, like, your reminder app.
Oh, your reminder app. All right. We're going to take the Stelios, and I are totally taking...
Please. I need that urgent.
Oh, yeah. No, it's really important. I used to have Chris Lauder from the Nomad had one of the best things, and now he's over in in Singapore. Singapore? Yeah, no, Shanghai. I think it's Shanghai. Him and Michaela. But in the Nomad, so he could remember his regulars. I mean, he's an extraordinary human being in many ways. But he would have flip cards of all his regulars with their picture on it. and like their information. And every day he would go through those flip cards and test themselves. So that way, yeah, he's like a machine, that one. He's like, he does things on a whole nother level. Yeah.
Happening. Yeah. I'm doing 10 bar shows a year. You know, that would be the flip cards. It would be a library.
Impossible. It would be a library, right? So it's more about remembering, and that's why I try to take pictures of people, and then also make sure I like make a note. So I have a picture of them, a note, especially at bar shows, and then remember I met them at that bar show, because more people probably know you than you remember them. Because and so everybody's like, "Hey, nice to see you," and you're like,
it's so bad every time this happens, you know, because honestly, I don't remember, you know, you get to meet all these people, they say hi or whatever, you have like small chit chats or something, but you know that you have to be in this presentation, into other presentation, and to do whatever. And I feel terrible every time that happens.
Yeah, but so that's why I try to get better at
it. something really cool that I tried to apply the last couple of years, listening, which is the most important skill that we should have.
Yeah, as Anthony said.
Understanding the markets, understanding the people, and spending proper time, you know, with people. You know, that will give you way much that you need. All you need to know, actually, with just 10 people, or if you, you know, by search for 20 or hundreds, you know, and chit chat about whatever. But actually, if you just spend some time and just with 10 people can give you the overview of the market. And
no, absolutely. No, I think that's an amazing. It's like, it's not quantity, it's quality. So, you know, as you get older, it is something I've learned, because in the beginning, it's like, oh, I want to meet everybody, and I want to be in like, what's the conversation? And I find myself looking over people's shoulders to see if somebody cooler walked in the door, which is terrible, right? It's like, you know, it's like, and I think we all did that maybe when we were younger. It's like I
think it's a maturity thing for sure.
Yeah, and as you get older, you realize, you know, no, I'm going to focus on this conversation. I'm going to focus on this person. I'm going to see this other people. I'll probably see, maybe I won't get to see him, but I'll see him again, you know, at some point. So like, but I'm going to like work on this person and really get to know them a bit better. And I'd rather have 5 really meaningful conversations, as you said, Stelios, and like 20, like, hey, how you doing? Blah, 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 and move on. And then you really do build those more meaningful connections. And then when you travel into a city, those become the people that you connect with immediately. Like, I'm here, and they're like, oh my God, so great to see you. And then you keep adding, you know, to that. Yeah, it's all really great points. I was gonna say, all right, so Stelios, I want to talk about you. So in 2017, right? Did I get that year correctly? That you got the Tequila Connoisseur title?
Good. Yeah, technically it was 2016, but then they just handed on 2017, but it's the same.
Don't be a nitpicker. Just go with it. All right. So, which is a big thing. You became the first non-Mexican tequila expert in the world of nominated by the Mexican ambassador in the CNIT. So, like, as somebody from Greece, I mean, I know tequila is everywhere, but I do know that in Europe it's not as popular as it is here in the States. So, for you, like, where did your passion for tequila come from, and then what did you have to do to get that certification?
Things started back in 2007, I think, with watching a presentation from Thomas Estes back then, random, and sorry, I had a moment here, but I
know the last time actually I was physically with him was in Greece. Was that your bar?
He was, yeah, what a night. But actually, everything started because of Thomas, you know, and watching him, and you know, with all these passions he had for tequila, the ways that he was explaining everything about the community, the society, the production, and everything. He planted a bug, you know, in me that that I wanted to explore more about tequila as a spirit. Everybody knew it just as a shot, and then I started like asking marketeers, sales guys, whoever, importers and distributors, like, where are those flavors are coming from? Why do we have all these tequilas? Unfortunately, back then, no one could give me any answer. The only thing, it was like, we have the best tequila, or we have our tequila is made with blue agave. The others is just 100% agave, and you know.
And we have 2.
And
We have this one and that one.
then I decided to go to Mexico and figure it out by myself. As soon as I arrived there, wow, a brand new world opened. The hospitality I got from all these people, Thomas helped me a lot. Julio Bermejo as well, he was here for, it just randomly, we saw Julio down in Guadalajara. And these guys were like, no, you will need to go there and do this, met these guys, see this production, go to the other distillery. And honestly, it was amazing. So I kept doing that for quite a long time, many, many times. Then Cuervo came on me right with the transition, and they were looking for some internal trainings because of the distributor here. And this is how I started working for Cuervo, but as well to represent Jose Cuervo full time as they requested. I said that I need to go down to Mexico again and figure out everything about the production process, because I'm not this kind of guy that I'm just gonna, wear a mask that's the Cuervo guy and go outside and spread the word about Cuervo. That's the best tequila in the world, as I used to hear back in the days. So I said, prove me. Just reply like 5 A4 pages, with questions, everything. I was pretty giggy back then. It was if you do that and open, the answers, I'm happy to work for you guys. But at the same time, I was cross-checking information, where going to other distilleries, learning more, because one visit or two visits to Mexico and the distilleries, it doesn't give you all you need, to learn about the industry. And after a while, I met the president of the CNIT back then in a meeting in London, and he told me that they have some categories, that they came up, the Cámara Nacional. We're starting from the brand ambassador that is given to people that they're in love with tequila, as for example, Thomas Estes had, Julio Bermejo, among others. It's only granted once, and it's in a way without taking any exams. And I was like, okay, I'll go for it. But then they told me, no, it was the first time that we see someone from Greece, as you said, which is what I'm trying to convince even the Cuervo guys. How comes a Greek guy represent, a Mexican brand? That doesn't make sense for many, many people. So that's my daily challenge. And then they requested, after all your visits, Stelios, can you come up? And we set up a group of from different brands, and you pass an evaluation. I was like, okay, why not?
Wow.
Let's do that. And then, really, honestly, they went really hard on me, because I was like, in Guadalajara with a backpack, visiting distilleries. Suddenly, I entered some offices and I saw a super, tight environment with 4 or 5 people. I don't remember now, from different brands, with costumes and everything. And they had like a tiny desk in front of me with a microphone, and they were asking me questions. They were firing questions about production, about the culture, about the hasps that you should have or something. I was like, guys, sorry, that's not that friendly, huh? I didn't hear.
You were literally in the frying brigade, which is not something you should say in Mexico.
Exactly. And I was like, I never asked for it. I was like, okay, a few questions and all good. And this is how everything started. I guess I completed that task successfully. So this certification was given. It was only given to 5 people so far.
That's very cool. That is very, very cool. And so for you, I mean, if there's any book that you would recommend on Tequila, do you have any that I know in Greece it's not as easy as getting things translated?
You mean? Sorry.
Sorry. Is there any books that you recommend for people who want to become tequila experts?
Hard work. I'll say. First of all, you will need to go to Mexico. Okay. Right. If you've never been to Mexico, you will never understand the culture. And for me, tequila is, every sip of tequila has something from their history, okay, heritage, passion, the way they talk, the way they sing, the way they eat. Everything is in each bottle. Okay, of course there are some other brands around, but still there is a piece of Mexico in there, and this is what we love. Then I would say hard work, not too much info, because I did it. I did something that I found out that it was not ideal. Is that I deep dive because I was very stressed, not to face someone that he knows in a way more than I do, or just in case someone tells me about my brands, okay, that this is how we do it and you do it the wrong way or whatever. So I always wanted to know everything in a way, and it was extremely hard. But then I realized that it was useless, to go that deep because I'm not a chemical engineer. I'm a brand ambassador, tequila aficionado, okay, and I happily represent one of the most famous brands in the world. So, I mean,
no, that's a great lesson because so many people want to go. Sorry, I was going to say it is something, and Anthony, I'm sure you felt like, the thing a lot of brand ambassadors on the show talk about, it's like the biggest fear is when they have to present in front of their peers because they're so afraid they're not going to know all the information, like they're not going to know it as well. There's going to be somebody up there in the room that knows it better than they do, and they might make a mistake, and they get so involved in the nitty gritty, like, trying to understand it like a chemical engineer, and you can't. And to understand it more from a passion level, like this is why I love it, and these are the things they do. And yeah, you might not know every single chemical, like the bricks of sugar and the, like most people don't give a shit about that. I mean, some people do, but for the most part, I think if you're showing your passion for the category, you need to know your category and you need to understand why one is different than the other. But I think it's a good point.
And, many people, I'm not sure if they need this kind of information or, for example, bartenders that they're trying to be on the romantic side. They don't get it. They just feels like they're mimicking others just to belong to a pack or something. But at the end of the day, for me, what is most important, and it took me the hard way to understand this, is that we need to understand, first of all, our business. Not only from the marketing perspective, from a bar perspective, from the spirits perspective, the whole chain, that gives us the opportunity to work in the industry. And I'm afraid that nowadays many people didn't understand. They just see the cool things behind the scene or on the scene with bar shows. How cool is that? I know Elaine, I know Philip, I know Anthony, and I'm a cool guy, and I post it on Instagram. But I think we need a little bit more passion in there, to understand how things from the raw material, to the final customer or consumer, the whole process, because this is what we do. This is our job. And yeah, I think, and then I jumped into this, so I got this.
No, I do think that is probably the most important thing. I mean, Anthony, you and I talked about this yesterday. You were saying, like, when you travel and going to markets, that one of the things you learned that it wasn't about you, it was about the other people. Talk a little bit more about that, where you talked about, like, by putting your ego in check.
Well, I mean, it's more understanding that there's other egos out there. Maybe your one is not the most important one in the room. And, so I guess to answer your question is if I'm selling a product or to a bar or to a distributor or to a chain group, is understanding that it goes beyond what's in the bottle and it's more about how it's served and how it's delivered to the guest. So, our product is a carbonated mixer. There's no intent for it to be drank on its own. My job, like I said in the beginning, is to make sure that when you consume it in the best possible way. So pair it with a nice tequila, with some nice salt, and you've got a wonderful Paloma. And guess what? People sell Palomas. They don't sell tequila, grapefruit, and salt. They sell Palomas. And you can even do that in retail, right? Put the tomatoes next to the guacamole, to the avocado, and then it instructs people to make guacamole. And I guess my objectives are to sell bottles of mixer, but the people that I'm with's objective is to sell a fantastic cocktail. So if I put myself in check and be part of that conversation, it's a lot easier. And I'm aligning myself with their objectives and not my own objectives, whilst achieving mine in a way. But yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, the other thing we also talked about, and talking about ecos, is the distributor, right? So there's a lot of politics, and Stelios, I'm sure, like traveling around the world, you have to deal with different marketing people, distributors and sales reps, and it can be a big part of your job. But building relationships with them, is important, right? To have that relationship, and then so we're going to talk about like some of the best practices you put into building relationships with the different sales reps, and then what are some of the mistakes you might have done or you see other people do that piss people off? And Anthony, we talked about this a little yesterday, or worse, cause them to lose their job, where they're like, yeah, we just can't work with this person because they just keep making the same stupid mistake. Anthony, I'll start with you. How do you build a relationship with distributors? You've worked with so many of them.
Yeah, I think Stelios says as well, like having an awareness of what is acceptable in that local environment. And that can be geographical, but it can also be almost like political, right? So if you're in a account that is owned proportion of the spirits are being sold by one distributor, you should probably know that before you walk in, and you should probably know what's inside that distributor's portfolio before you present a competing brand. That salesperson that you're with is also bonused or like gold against to achieve their goals. And I've seen in past, and I've had to unfortunately pull the trigger on people in the past that just don't understand that, and they will consistently be disruptive to a local distributor in small markets, large markets, and just not get it.
Break that down a little bit, because it might miss so many people. So you're talking about like, I think we talked about more specifically yesterday, is like, and Stelios, we were talking about like, so say you're presenting a cocktail and you want to put a cocktail on the menu. At least that's what I was talking, like, inside suddenly you're using a vermouth, like, you're putting a rye whiskey, and the distributor does sell that rye whiskey, but then you're pairing it off with a vermouth that they don't sell.
Yeah, let's just use the Negroni as an example, right? So you show up and you're doing a distributor training for a Negroni, and you're doing it in a key account, and you've got the entire sales team from that distributor there, and you pick up the vermouth from the competing distributor. It is such a stone cold killer of, no matter how much history you knew about the drink and where it came from. You may even give them the secret recipe to everything that's in Campari, and nobody fucking knows that. But if you pick up the wrong vermouth, you're done. Like, and not having an understanding of that is it can be lethal, for lack of a better term. But that comes with doing your homework as well, and asking the right questions, and being around the right people, and understanding that your preference for a vermouth is not relevant to the audience that you are presenting to. And when it comes to distributors, it really is as binary as that. And those people are the gatekeepers, whether we like it or not, certainly in the United States. You have to have them on your side. So when you build relationships with them, again, it's about understanding what their goals are and what they find important, and trying to align it with yours so that you can mutually achieve your objectives.
No, I think the big thing is Stelios.
As you said, Anthony, you were a flair bartender, so you know that sometimes it's not what you do, it's how you do it as well. And many people as well, especially in the sales, we get to see that there's the devil came, it's like another brand is there, so you should pick that bottle, just something. But in my how I work, at least, I would say we should learn how to respect and make them how to respect competition. Again, many people, they were like, no, Don Julio is better than Cuervo, or for this brand, X, Y, Z brand. They were always trying to do to compare them, and I was like, no, guys, it's not about comparing. It's about understanding And this is what I was always fighting for, since the beginning with Cuervo, because the hardest thing in our business is knowledge, I would say, and this is why brand ambassadors, I think, came up. Yeah, because I don't know, before might be lifestyle influencers, it could be actors or whatever, but suddenly you see international companies hiring bartenders, to talk and represent the brands. Why? And I think it was because there was a gap in communication between the trade and the company. So we are the big, in the middle, right in the middle, that we can understand, and we are like, how's that word in English? When the
middleman?
Yeah, the middleman, exactly, sorry. That translate the translator in a way, it's like
you're translating the language from the bar to the sales rep, and the sales rep to the bar, because the sales rep is speaking sales language and they don't understand sometimes how the bar operates, so they say things that are inappropriate because they just don't know, and there can be a disconnect. It can really turn the other person off.
Exactly, or they don't care. They just might care only about the numbers and how to get the volumes, in order to reach the bonus. And yeah, but guys, for me, for my industry, the tequila business, it's important not to hunt the volume, understand first, and then go for it. Because as soon as you understand tequila, you know the consumption occasion. As soon as you know the consumption occasion, you have the drink strategy, and you will go and serve it there. Those simple steps, in a way, from my point, that I screw up in the beginning, I say, and this is, many distributors, I bet they don't want to see me anymore, because I was like, no, you have to do it that way, and it didn't work out.
It doesn't work out. It is hard to build those relationships with distributors, and it is hard. You have to have patience sometimes, because you have to realize they don't understand your world. They don't come from your world, and it's okay. You have to adapt to their world, and you can slowly educate them and say, and their accounts might not be, we're used to using fresh lime juice and and all this stuff. And there's still accounts out there who this is not their world. Like they're still using a soda gun. They're still using, sour mix. And sometimes you have to adjust, and the sales rep is like 110, but you're trying to help him get in this product and understand it. So you have to adjust your conversation, A, to the audience, A, to the sales rep, not make him look stupid because he doesn't know. But it's not his job to be an expert. His job is to maintain these relationships with these accounts. And it's like, okay, so I'm going to adjust. Or they're not going to be able to make a fresh juice margarita. It's not going to happen. So what can they make? Maybe it is like they're making, a tequila soda with lime, which is a very big drink here. It's not exactly a cocktail, but they can do that. It might not be a fresh one because it's not coming out of a can using Q mixers, but it's coming out of a gun. But at least maybe I can show them how to cut their lines a little differently, then maybe make a better presentation.
You already hit the point. Sell the cocktail, not the cases, right? Yeah. Sell the serve. Make sure that, because again, at the end of the day, certainly on the on-premise and at home as well, most people aren't just drinking neat Capelli rum or neat tequila. Well, maybe they're drinking neat tequila, but they're serving it in a way that makes them feel good. It could be in a margarita, it could be in a Paloma, it could be if you have a conversation with the bar owner and the distributor about, hey, my product will help drive revenue and help you make more money because it's a better finished article at the end of it, and I believe so, and I can help you achieve that. That is very powerful. I know with Q, we don't necessarily sell gin and tonics, but we sell highballs, right? So everything in a highball. One of our unique points is carbonation. So it makes sense to put it in the right glass and look after that carbonation. So yeah, I think, and once you get alignment there, it doesn't necessarily become about what's in the glass, but how it's served. And people dig that, and that's really what they're looking for when they go out for a drink. And I think one of the things that we've learned during these COVID times more than anything is that people can recreate drinks at home, and they can get messed up at home. I know I did, but really what they're looking for is an experience and how it's served and how it looks, and doing something that's above and beyond in the in that service culture. So yeah, that for me is a golden rule. Sell the cocktail, not the cases. Focus on the serve and the finished article, and that'll be
which I think makes a lot of sense. And also making sure the mixer is actually the one and the product that you're serving the highball in is actually sold by the distributor that you happen to be working with.
True. And get credit for it as well as an operator. Like, get credit for it. Charge it a couple of extra dollars and make, you know, make yourself some more money, because people will pay for it. Yeah.
Well, in the accounts, yes. I think that's a really good point. I mean, I'm sure for you, like Stelios, I mean, working with tequila in Europe, I know is not always easy. I had on here Ansis, and he'll be so proud I said his name correctly. He's from Latvia, and he represents Rooster Rojo tequila. You know, and he's in Eastern Europe, you know, selling, you know, tequila, which is not always easy. But having that conversation, as you said, like working with a distributor, and it's not about like our tequila is better. It's more like how can, and to Anthony's point, how we can help you enhance what you have and make money. So I don't know, for you, like, how do you convince people to bring tequila in if they really only have like 2 tequilas, and you're trying to say, hey, and you're working with a distributor, like, okay, we're going to help them enhance their offering?
Yeah, I mean, this is what I like as well, you know, in our industry, that it's not like just another whiskey, you know, that, let's say, for example, in Greece, yeah, everybody will just lick another bottle of whiskey, their back bar. But with tequila, it's challenging because they don't know the normals, they don't know the classification, so it's either silver or gold, you know, in the color. They don't, you know, they don't know anything much. But I always try to explain, to give them a reason why you need a tequila in there, you know, and pretty much I'm more focused into the serves, as Anthony said before, and the experience that we create of having a tequila. So don't just give them a shot, you know, you can give them any other shot. Okay, that's not the point. Okay, and if there's a bar tell me, oh, I want Cuervo for shots, it's like, okay, don't get Cuervo. Okay, get another spirit. Don't get tequila, because it takes 7 years for the agave to grow, you know, and we don't want you to have, because now we are short on agave because you guys are shooting tequila in your plan. Yeah, si, senor. So, you know, it's like, okay, please stop. Yeah, I mean,
keeps you drinking it, but stop doing it that way.
Yeah, exactly. So this is always my, in a way, my approach, or try to make bartenders another difficulty. For example, it's like everybody talks about gin, and not that much, rum a bit, yeah, I would say, but they stock like 20 different rums, 30 different different whiskeys, 10 vodkas or whatever, and they have only 1 tequila or 2 tequilas. Why? They don't even know. Or they have, for example, 3 very famous brands, and they have all blancos, or you know, whatever. And I am asking them, why do you have, you know, these brands, and you don't want to make a nice collection that its tequila will perfectly fit to a different consumer, you know, with different profile, you know, like, is it a whiskey drinker? Go for añejo. Choose the best añejo you think. And this is why we do tastings. Okay, bartenders used to do tastings. Why? Just because are free, or it's like, I don't know how to spend my Monday morning, you know, and just doing the tasting, or for the Instagram? No, it's to learn what's the liquid profile, you know, how to deconstruct it, mix it, you know, or create an experience based on the demand that your customer has, right? And yeah,
it makes a lot of sense. It is a lot about education. It is about the cocktail and getting them to sell it and buy into that cocktail and to enhance what they have in their portfolio. It's like, where's the gaps? Why do you even bother having any tequila at all? Let's have a better portfolio, so that it looks like you have a tequila section for a reason. And Anthony, I know you also had this problem, like selling in canned sodas versus the gun. So tell us some of the problems you had trying to convince people, and what you kind of said some of it before, but kind of repeat it, because
yeah, it is a big problem. At that point, it's purely transactional, right? So you're trying to convince an individual to switch, essentially, certainly in the US, a 1 cent pour of tonic for a $1 pour of tonic. So I mean, that's a big jump. And it's not like when I was in the gin world, you could put another gin on the back bar and maybe have a place for that gin to have a 50 ml pour in one of the cocktails on the menu. It's either like, I have one tonic, that's it, or one ginger beer, that's it. And it might as well be cheap and nasty. So, but if you think about it, if you're a consumer and you're a guest at a bar, and a lot of this I discovered working in Las Vegas, was that the sports bar down the road can get a gin and tonic in a rocks glass. And it's exactly the same drink as you, mister, in the middle of the casino is serving. The sports bar down the road is charging $6 and you're charging $12. At some point, and you're serving it terrible, at some point, people are just going to be like, screw this, I'm not drinking this anymore. Or it could even be a vodka and soda, right? Which is popular in Vegas. And at some point they're going to say no, and they talk with their wallets, they don't talk with their mouths. They're just going to switch to a beer or a wine because they had a terrible experience and they don't care about paying this price. So why not turn that $14 drink into a $15 drink, serve it club service with a nice presented bottle in a nice glass, give it a nice garnish, take the extra step, eat the extra $1, charge it back to the consumer, and see how that goes, because the most ordered drink in the world is, can I have another? And that was...
I love that line. Where did you get that line from, by the way? I wrote it down yesterday. Is it your... That's a great line.
It was certainly my most ordered drink anyway. But it's... it's funny when people see that and they compute it and they go, oh, okay, maybe I can get away with this. And everything else is, I remember when I was a bartender, some crazy brand person came in and said, oh, can you upsell from this gin to this gin and just suggest it? And I was like, that's never going to work. Gin and tonic is gin and tonic. And gin is gin. Now, every time you order a gin and tonic, it's like, which gin would you like? You're like, this one or this one or this one. So it does work. And for the most part, even if 30% of the people that come into your establishment take the upcharge of the premium tonic, you're making money. So you've got really nothing to lose. Get rid of some of the beers that are in the fridge that are going to go rotten and get thrown out because they go off, and just put some nice tonic in there or put some nice ginger beer in there and instruct your staff to upsell it. And that's kind of the way you position it. Keep the soda gun. I don't care. I mean, keep getting the health code violations. Go nuts. But and that's kind of how we position it. I'm not... You can't convince, and again, it's taking that transaction out of it. This isn't about, I guess, buy it cheap, sell it high, and make margin in the middle. You want people to come back to your establishment. You want people to have a good time, and they want people to experience it and order the same drinks over and over again, because it makes your life a lot easier.
How many times did you have to have that conversation before they actually bought it? No, it's not bought it, because it's a just logical conversation, and it's a logical reason.
Really interesting is for us in the United States, when you see places like Applebee's and Buffalo Wild Wings figuring it out and jumping on it and being like, all right, cool, that makes sense, let's do it. That's it. All the approval you need, and and
that makes a lot of sense.
And it seems to be working, and that segment of the market is growing for a reason.
No, you said to me yesterday, you said it would be a long conversation. You'd have to, it might take a very long time to get them to make the switch. So that's why I was asking. Like, it might be.
Yeah. So, I mean, think about it. If you're a bar operator, you're getting vodka money, you're getting, all these other big portfolios are there, buying you umbrellas and making your bar look sexy and beautiful. And then you've got the tonic discussion, which is so far down the list of priorities. And I've worked for major brands in the past, and cocktail brands and trending brands, where it was really quite a simple, not a simple sell, but it was a quick sell, right? You go in with the rep, they'd punch the order, they'd find a spot for it in the back bar. Non-alc mixers, it's a long sell-in. When it sells in, the volume's insane, because they're buying 4 different flavors and they're buying it 24 a case and then moving through it very quickly. But I thought I was doing something wrong with it. I thought I was good at this.
You're like, why aren't they buying it in? What? Let's go. I was gonna say, so for you, I mean, like that. No, it's true. So for you, Stelios, it's more about convincing people that the category is legitimate, and and that they need to have more than one. And Anthony, for you, it's more like convincing them that this is something that costs more money, but there's a great reason for it, because they can actually get your conversation probably even easier than having the tequila conversation, because it's more like convincing people they should have more tequila when not many people order tequila yet. Right, where we're bringing in, it's a money conversation, but they can make up the money on the other end. So I guess it's about finding that key point that's going to convince them, and every buyer is going to be different. So for some buyers, it could be like, we're going to enhance your portfolio and create some really cool serves, and it's going to be the best margarita they ever had. Or for Anthony, it's like, we're going to make your gin and tonics more distinguished than the competitor down the street, and you get your money back. So all good things. I think it's, about adjusting to the audience. All right. So now I'm going to go some. You guys are both fathers. You both have two lovely children, actually around the same age. And I've met both your wives, and they're lovely and must be very patient women. But, you guys travel a lot. So, and this is a question I asked for a lot of moms. So, there's a lot of women in the industry who are now having kids. So for you guys, Stelios, I'll start with you. How do you balance it? You're gone a lot. Is it just because your wife's like an awesome human? And
yeah, I mean, in the beginning, initially, it was, probably I was the worst father ever, because I didn't know how to deal with this, and
he has to get that thing right now.
Yeah. Sorry for this. So in the beginning, it was just, I tried to figure out how to travel less. From Monday to Friday, I had to be there, or figure out a way to, to spend my weekends better with the family, but I couldn't. Thank God that Christina, my wife, she was there. And she was looking after the kid, and we were, trying to establish relationship and support the family from the phone is not very effectively, as we do with tequila sometimes. Communication is the most important thing. But yeah, after the first 2 years were gone super fast, and I got my wife's back. After that, the lockdown came, and I was super happy, to be honest. Yeah, because I had, probably before the lockdown, it was 18 months, and I spent only 4 weeks at home. It was hard. Wow. It was a decision that had to be made with my wife, to support this, because that's a way of supporting the family, and she has to do, her way. But then the lockdown came, and we were all there together, starting to learning my kid, how to interact with my kid and everything. It was terrible. It was terrible. In the beginning, it was very hard. But now I rethink everything. I have. I think from September, because my travels will start now from September, I will be more organized, on plan, and yeah.
That's good. And it's good you had the conversation. You didn't just assume that your wife was just going to take on the role of the responsibility of the kids. So smart husband. Very smart husband. Smart husband to have that conversation.
Not my game, not my rules. I'm just following. It's like, this is what they want.
I think that's very smart. Anthony, how about you? How do you balance it all? I mean, you were traveling a lot. I know you're home much more now, but
yeah,
you were traveling a lot.
I think first of all, you already touched it. I'm blessed. My wife is incredible, and she's very understanding, and she's a fantastic mother. And it's not, I'm not saying that for the sake of it. It's just amazing what she's been able to do, and I think part of what keeps it going is I'm open to acknowledging that and being honest about that as well, and saying this is incredible what you've done. And it was hard in the beginning because I was traveling a lot when my kids were young, in and out of Las Vegas, and we didn't have any family there as well, so she was holding up everything by herself. But if I can give you any tips and you find yourself in my position, just make sure you pay the bills, and make sure and make sure, like, you know, silly little things as well. They add up. Like if you say you're going to call at 6 p.m., call at 6 p.m. Right? And don't when you're on the other side of the world or on the other side of the country, don't say, hey, oh, I'll call you right back. I'm in the middle of something, because that is the middle of something is what's happening at home in that moment. So I would always make an effort to do that. Or, you know, if it required me to wake up at 6 in the morning, just get up at 6 in the morning and make the phone call. And yeah, and my relationship with my kids has been amazing since we got back here, because I'm spending so much time with them. But they're like, you know, who's this guy? But I think, like anything in life, right? So long as you're willing to put the effort into it and acknowledge that it is hard and don't take it for granted, you're good.
No, I think that's great words of advice. Not taking it for granted, I think, is probably the two solid things. You know, that's what both of you guys touched upon, and also being reliable. I definitely know, like, you know, Philip travels a lot. I was traveling a lot when I worked as a global manager, and I was really lucky that Philip, our schedules always, you know, were able, and she also has a dad that, you know, we could always move things around. But I agree with you. If you say you're going to call, you know, make sure you do it, because people do look forward to it. I definitely know my daughter gets very disappointed when, you know, even her own dad like says he's going to call and he doesn't call. Or if I say I'm going to be home at a certain time. I mean, I think of times I've been in the airport and I almost missing a plane and like crying. And I'm like, no, you understand. I have to be at the school play. Like, you have to get me on the plane. I've been gone for 2 weeks. Like, you know, but also talking to your partner and saying, hey, like, I'm going to be taking on this responsibility. Are you cool with that? Like, this is what it's going to mean, and it's going to put a bigger burden on you. Because that can cause a lot of problems in a relationship when you just assume that the other person is going to be handling it. I experienced that's why I'm on marriage number 2.
But I think as well, one of the things that having somebody who has not necessarily worked in the industry but understands the industry as well is helpful, because on face value it looks like all steak dinners and party time, right? But there's a lot more to it. Unless you have somebody who really understands that it is hard work, and you're constantly, and building those relationships that we talked about earlier in the conversation take energy out of you, and being on point and being sharp all the time might mean that when you just get home, you just want to crash and switch off and be a grumpy old man for a while. I know I can do that. I'm looking forward to being that guy as well. It's having somebody who understands that is important, I think. And if you don't have that, then you need to work on that. Yeah.
No, I think it's also. Go ahead, Silas.
I don't think that you will ever be with someone having a kid that doesn't understand what we do, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense for many people, outside of our industry. Like, what do you mean you're going to be away from Monday to Friday, and then you're going to go market visit? Well, how you call that? Like being in a bar, jumping bar hopping, like 20 bars a day. And then you get in 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you're telling me you have a meeting in the morning. It's like, come on, seriously. I don't think that works, I was very lucky because with Christina, we were together like 13 years. So all my professional life, she has been there. We did all the decisions together. And as we said, I mean, communication is the most important thing. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And we decided to have a kid, for example. Yeah, but now I should go back to the vessels, to the boats, or, it doesn't work. So.
No, very, very, very true. Great words of advice. All right, so guys, we're wrapping it up, and I always like to wrap it up with, everybody has some like life lessons you've learned throughout your career. So, that you like to tell other people. Like, so is there any like 1 or 2 like key learnings, things that you've learned that you, for a new brand ambassador coming into this industry, you would like to share with your words of wisdom, so that they might not make the same mistakes, or, that you might have made, or just something you just learned to do early on, and you realize not everybody knew that. And you're like, oh, God, I have to let other people know, because this is really good stuff. So, I don't know, Stelios, I'll start with you. Any mistakes you've made that you want everybody else to learn from, or some best practices you're like, oh, I could tell you anything, do this one thing and it'll make your life a hell of a lot easier?
Look, with mistakes, I think it's important to understand. It's important to do them first, and then to work on them, because that will make you a better person. Because if it's just you have Stelios, Anthony, or Aline telling you like, don't do that. I mean, like, you will never understand, why not to do that, and you will do it in another way. It's gonna be, a small twist on that. So I don't have regrets so far from how I approach things, or if, or like I would say to someone that is just joining the business, don't do mistakes, try to avoid X, Y, Z things. I would say just try to understand the business, try to understand competition in a way and respect the competition. Keep, pretty much is what we said is like open your ears, and keep your mouth shut. Try to get as much as possible, and have a goal. Because if we don't have goals, even as a brand ambassador, it's not going to work. You're going to be around for a year or two, and then you're dead. How many ambassadors we've met over the years, that they've been there for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and gone. It's not an easy job. It's very demanding. It's very hard. But as soon as you understand all this, what we said earlier, and you still are passionate and you love what you do, I think that sky's the limit. You can stay there. Yeah, there's no limit. 20 years, 30 years or something. Because you're in the industry and you understand. And this is what the type of people we need nowadays, and especially after the crisis, well, not crisis, but actually especially after COVID, okay, because things that go crazy, many businesses are already gone, and we need to form something like our community, but with people that they deserve in a way to be around, not just to extract money from our own industry,
I think it's a great point. Understanding the competition, understanding the business, from A to Z, and having goals is a really big thing. If you don't have a goal, you don't have direction. You don't know if you succeeded because you didn't know what you were going for in the first place. So it's good to have a goal, whether it's monthly or yearly, like every year, like it's like, this is where I'm going to advance to, whether it's personally, professionally, whatever it is. It does help, give meaning to your life as well, and it helps you succeed in your career. Anthony, go ahead, Stelios. What were you going to say?
Just a question that I used to do very often. It was like, when I was a bartender, maybe successful bartender, it was like, what's your plan for the next 3 years or 5 years? Some, they were like, okay, I want to become a brand ambassador. It's like, oh, okay, why? They don't know. It's just because of the lifestyle or whatever. But that's definitely not the point. And we need to figure out a way as people from the industry to spread and not influence, but inspire bartenders on how lovely is our job, and to inspire them to be part of this. Because it is an amazing word, and not because it's the booze. It's those are the people they are in it. So,
no, it's a great job, but as I said, this is it is really, really hard. And this is my 24th interview, and trust me, I have heard a lot of the stories and how amazing this career is, but also how draining it can be. But we definitely need people in it who are passionate about it and have goals. Anthony, for you, what are someone like? If you could pass on some words of wisdom to somebody getting in.
Getting in. And
we're doing it now.
Don't overcomplicate it. I think it's one of the things that people do early on in their career. Do your job, almost like stay in your lane. And I don't mean that in like kind of a, you're not good enough, or your opinion doesn't count, or something like that. But just deliver on what you're supposed to deliver on, and you're going to be fine. That's a great foundation. And if you want to move up, and you want to do more, and you want to progress in your career, do the job before you get the job, right? Take responsibility, find the things that, really, really give you the, that's from Anne-Louise, by the way, I'll give that
yes,
one.
It is.
Yeah.
She said that.
Yeah. But it's it's such a great thing. And in hindsight, I think about that. I was doing that without being told to do it. And I found myself in rooms and in opportunities where somebody's like, oh, maybe we could work on this. And it's those little comments that you need to pick up on and go and do it and go and act on it and say, oh, you know, when we talk about this is what I think we should do. And don't think that nobody's going to listen to you, because if you bring, if you act on all of those leads, eventually one of them is going to pay off, and it's going to get you up another step and another step and another step. And you get into that rarefied space where you're in every room you want to be in, and people want to talk to you. And I think that that's really the way to do it. And it's the only credit you'll ever get is by your accomplishments. So.
Yeah, I think that was a great word of advice. Do the job, man. As I said, and Louise did say it first on the show, but I think she's not alone.
And I think this is why your podcast or your YouTube thing here is so good. Is surround yourself by people that have done it before and learn from their mistakes, so you don't have to make as many. You're going to make mistakes, but don't make as many as everyone else. So if you want to get into this game, for the most part, most of us in this brand ambassador world, we're not here because we're arseholes and we're unapproachable. So reach out and ask and help. We will help you, and we will give you seeds of advice. Like, build like a little mentor network. And if you're not sure about something, where to go, I think that's something that builds into this network. Is, you know, I'm a WhatsApp away or a Facebook message away. I'm never going to just ignore anyone. And I think I can say the same for anyone that's been on this. On this platform.
No, I think those are great words. Great words of wisdom. I always say and it is one thing I always said about this industry, and that I've always loved, is that if you're willing to learn something, there's somebody there to help you. Like, literally just ask. Like, whenever I've asked people, like, hey, I'd really like to understand this thing better, I would call somebody. You know, it's how I did internships at the Nomad, the Artesian, because I just asked, and I was like, do you mind if I do this? I mean, granted, I put the work in and the time and built it, but you just have to, and so many things, you know, like, I've just asked people, and I can then, you know, it might take a little time and effort, and you want to make it as easy for that person as possible for them to help you. But somebody will be there to help. Well, you know, generally there'll be somebody there to help you out. Stelios, just thought you wanted something to add? No?
Yeah, I was just before we entered the live, I saw a quote that has like a leadership is not about creating followers, it's about creating leaders.
That's great.
I will do, you know, twist it a bit with a brand ambassadorship. It's not just for followers on Instagram or any other social media. We're here as a community to help others and make them great ambassadors, no matter the product. Okay, because this is our industry and we love it. You know, so.
No, I think those are great words, and it really is. Brand ambassadors are some of the best people I know. That's why I do this show, because I think it's some of my favorite people in the industry are brand ambassadors, because they're good at what they do and they are helpful and they're there to help the community. Like, that's their job, and they're lucky they have brands that give them budgets to be able to do it. I was going to say, my last words of advice, actually, I always like to leave. Well, I don't think I've said this in a while. Plan your vacations. Take the same vacations every single year. Not the same place, just the same time. So if you get 2 weeks off a year, just like for me, like when I was working at a regular company, but even now, more importantly for myself, now that I work for myself, it's like I always go away in April, like before the pandemic. Like, I always went away this week. Like, when my daughter was off on vacation, I always planned this week, and then bye. And then like the end of August. But by planning that, I always made sure we were able to plan a year in advance. And also, I made sure I actually used my vacation, because so many people never go away and their job gets caught up. And next thing you know, you're scheduled into something. And then you're like, oh, I was planning to go away in July, but you didn't book anything. So the next thing you know, you get booked for something else. So if you just go away the same time every single year, the same time frame, like 2 weeks in April, 2 weeks in, you can book it so far in advance. You can tell your bosses, they always know. So everybody else plans around you rather than the other way around. And I've been able to take all my vacations. One of my old bosses gave me that advice, and I've been using it for the last, 15 years. And I managed to use up all my vacation time always. And even as an entrepreneur, I still go away, at least 2 weeks a year. And I book it out so far in advance.
Good one. I'm stealing that one, Wayne.
It's a good one. It really is a good one, especially with kids. You can book it around them, like their schooling, and just that's my vacation time every year. That's when I go away.
That's a great piece of advice, because I still try to figure out why I can't go every summer on holidays, you know, like other people do. You know? And I was like,
yeah,
oh, I'm a disaster.
Just pick your weeks. Like those are my weeks, and I just always go away those weeks. And that way, literally, it gives you something to look forward to. You start planning in July, in like, you know, January, and you're like, we're going away that time. You book it so far in advance, you save a ton of money. But yeah, it's something I've learned, and yeah, it was great words of advice. So I'm glad it's helpful to you guys. All right, so gentlemen, thank you so much. This was great. I'm sorry we didn't end up going on Facebook Live, because, but we are in the YouTube Live, and then I think I can share it to Facebook. So it should go there, and I'll tag you on it so you can share it to your page, and then it stays up for like 2 weeks, and then it lives on YouTube forever. So there you go. All right.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you both. Anthony, I really hope we meet each other very soon.
Yeah, I'll be down in Greece. I'll let you know. Yeah, or when you come to Amsterdam.
Yeah, after September for sure. Yeah. Guys, take care of yourself and your families. Saludos
Thank
to
you,
everyone.
you too. See you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that broadcast. Sorry, I'm doing that.